In our previous episode, we took Takazar round to the hoist dock, hauled out and removed our rudder in the slings. And in this week's video, we get set down on our cradle and replace the rudder bearings on our Ep.23. Good evening and welcome to this week's video. This is the second part of our rudder bearing replacement. If you missed part one, I'm going to stick a link up at the top of the screen now, and that shows our haul out and removal of the rudder in the slings. This week we're going to remove the old bearings, clean up the shaft and fit the new ones, and I'm going to show you how to do this step by step. So you may be thinking that this is not Royal Quays Marina in North Shields. Well, you'll be right. In real time, we're actually back in the water now, finished our haul out, and this week we're back in our hometown of Scarborough, seeing family. And this is also where our journey began. Right here, with that yellow boat there, our first boat, Pandemonium. And I've also just noticed that there's a new yacht in the harbour. It's another ETAP, it's an Ep.23. We used to be the only ETAP in Scarborough. Here we go. It's a lovely boat. And that's in one of the cradle moorings in the outer harbour. Anyway, back to today's video, so let's get back to the boatyard. Our rudder is a spade rudder, so the rudder stock's only attached at the top. We also only have tiller steering and no built-in auto helms, so this is a really simple rudder to remove with no additional complexities such as steering cables or gudgeon and pintle hinges further down the stock. After removing the bolts, we used a flat-headed screwdriver to prise out the top bearing. Was that all it is?
That's what's left of it anyway.
What's left?
Alright, that's what. Be cleaner.
Oh, I see, so you'd attach it to that.
I've got sticker flex. It's either in the van or the garage, I can't remember. There we go.
We had a few difficulties removing the bottom bearing. It was just stuck in position, so we had to use a bearing puller to pull it out. We gave the stock a good clean to get rid of any grime and dirt, and we just used a bit of WD-40, a wire brush and an old rag, and it came up really nice. We also noticed we had some scratching on the stock just around where the bottom bearing sits. This will have been caused due to the bearing being really loose and the stock moving from side to side, and also grit will have got in over the years too. Nothing to worry about though, it's only surface scratches, so we just gave it a good clean up. We checked the bearings for size just before we fitted them onto the boat, and we found that the top bearing was just ever so slightly too tight. So we got some emery paper and just sanded around the shaft where it fits, and that did the job. And the bottom bearing fitted perfectly first time. So the black bearing is the new one and the white is the old, and you can see how loose the old one is compared to the new one. Another little job that I'm going to do this afternoon is just clean up all the bolts, nuts and components of the rudder stock so that they're nice and shiny and going nice and smoothly. So this is the top part, and then we've got a lot of the bolts in here. So if you can see, they just need a bit of a clean up with a bit of WD-40 and a wire brush. So I've cleaned all the bolts and parts up last night for the rudder. Forgot about this though, so I'm just giving that a bit of a clean now. Okay, I'm just going to jump in here because things got a little bit crazy. So we actually did the next bit on the day of the lift back in while we were in the slings. And everything happened so quickly, I didn't manage to get any good quality filming. But this whole process took about 5 minutes and it was really easy. There wasn't much to it. So I'm just going to talk you through it with a few visual aids. So the first job was to refit the rudder bearing housing. Now, I don't know whether that's the right name for this, but it's what I've been calling it. But if you know what it's actually called, just drop it in the comments. And we just stuck it down with Sikaflex and the bolts it came off with. The next step was to fit the top rudder bearing into this silver housing and bolt that down as well. The next stage was to go underneath the boat and fit the bottom bearing. Now we found that the hole in the hull was just a little bit too big for the rudder bearing, it just kept falling out. So we actually epoxied the bottom bearing in so it's secure. So that's day one in the boat yard done. And today's gone really well actually. Everything's been successful. We hauled out absolutely fine, got in the cradle, and the rudder came straight off as well, just with a bit of a bang. And the rudder is pretty much finished now. We've given the shaft a good clean up and we've put the new bushings on, so the top and the bottom, and they fit really well. And these are the old ones that came off. So this one here is the top one. As you can see, this is broken up as we've taken it off, and the seal has pretty much worn right down inside. And this one is the bottom one, and this is in pretty poor condition actually. You might not be able to see from this, but the diaphragm inside's disappeared, so that could have come off a long time ago. And it's got really worn, so when it was on the shaft it was wobbling around, which was causing the play in the rudder. So these are the new ones, And can you believe how much these two things cost? These cost £900. I'm speechless. I just can't believe it. But they're the proper ones, and they actually fit really well. They have a really nice fit on the shaft, and it should make the rudder a lot more firm. I can see why some people make their own, but at least I know these are the proper ones and that they actually fit. Because the last thing that I'd want is to go back in the water and for them not to be right and for them to leak. So I think it probably is better off just spending the money. But yeah, I really don't know why it costs £900 to produce these. But anyway, that's one job ticked off the list today. So I'm off home. Well, I'm off back to Cresswell Towers, the caravan park. That's where we're staying. I'm going to go and collect Gav first from the bar, and I'm going to be back down tomorrow. And tomorrow's job is removing the sail drive. So I'm quite looking forward to that, actually. It's going to be completely refurbed. The task for tomorrow is actually just to get it off the boat, and then we'll see where we go from there. That may involve shunting the engine forward and having to disconnect various different things, but I'll try and capture as much of it I can on camera, and that will be on the next episode. So just before we go, I just want to show you outside because we've got a very different view, and I'm sat here and there's like a big bush at the back of the boat, which is very strange. So here we go, I'll show you. I'll take you outside and you can see the boatyard. So thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed the video, and see you next time.